Hello, y'all. If you could hear me, we just want to let you know that we are recording this program today. So you should have gotten a notification if that is the case. So FYI, it is being recorded. If you are uncomfortable with that, you're welcome to watch the recording at another time.
Okay, hello everyone and welcome to today's panel and happy Latinx Heritage Month. Before the panel introduces themselves, I want to thank everyone for being here. I am so thrilled to have worked on this event with the board members of the PASA Network. My name is Lou Carvajal and I serve on the board as a director of special events. The PASA Network is an organization that promotes the academic, social, and professional development of graduate students in the field of post-secondary administration and student affairs. A little about me, I am in my second year completing my Master's of Education in none other than post-secondary administration and student affairs. Try saying that 5 times. I'm considering to pursue a doctorate, and I thought, why don't we put on an event that also answers our questions about getting into a doctorate program? So on today's panel for the Road to a Doctorate program, we have 5 scholars that have experience at the doctoral level. So now if the panel will introduce themselves. First up, we have Natalie Hart.
Woohoo! Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Hart, as stated there. I'm from the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm from Tacoma, Washington. It's about 45 minutes south of Seattle. I did my undergrad. I did a triple major and double minor, and I also did my master's there at UW. And I did a master's in educational leadership and policy studies. And I am currently here at SC pursuing my EDD in educational leadership. There's a little mistake there. I actually graduate next year, so I haven't graduated yet. I wish, but I graduate next year. I'm currently working on my dissertation, which is looking at the success trajectory of African-American students and looking at the AAMA program, African American Male Achievement Program in Oakland Unified. So super excited to be here. Thank you everyone for having me and for putting on this program.
Thank you. Next up, we have Edgar.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me for this panel. Definitely appreciate it. And just to echo what Natalie was saying, I think this is an amazing event that, yeah, we have so many resources and experiences that we definitely want to share. Definitely exposing the hidden curriculum to help navigate, this educational journey for many people, especially those who are coming up for PhD applications, right? So my name is Edgar Lopez. I go by he, him, his. So I am currently a second year in the PhD program of Urban Education Policy. I went to University of Texas at Austin to get my master's in Educational and Leadership Policy. And I went to across the street, UCLA, to get my undergraduate degrees in political science and my second in Chicano Studies with a minor in education. So some of my research interests are first-generation college students, equity in college access and completion, Latinos in higher education, and faculty-student mentoring relationships. And thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for that. And next up, we have Queena.
Hello, everybody. It's so great to be here. So my name is Queena Hoang, pronouns she, her, hers. I did my undergrad at UC Santa Barbara, and then my master's at the University of Vermont. I worked at Vermont for a few years after graduating in my assistantship and did campus programming and events, and then went to San Diego State to continue some work, and then came to USC. I've been working at USC for about 4 years now, and pursued and completed my doctorate while at USC, which was awesome, and graduated this technically August, I guess. I defended in July, and my dissertation was on an equity framework around student basic needs in higher education. So currently I hold a dual role at USC, currently in our First Generation Plus Success Center, as well as another capacity with our Student Basic Needs Center. It's great to be here.
Thank you for that. And next up we have Jesenia Rosales.
Hi everyone, I'm excited to be here. So I did my bachelor's degree at Wheaton College in Massachusetts, and then I did my master's degree in PASA. So I'm an alum of PASA. I graduated last year, yay. And now I'm in my second year at Michigan State University doing my Ph.D. in higher adult lifelong education, in which my research interest is around the professorate, looking at critical whiteness studies, colorism and Latinx, and race and equity overall in higher education.
Thank you. Next we have Mr. Jose Montes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful event. It's a pleasure being here because I've been in education currently. Currently I'm a high school principal, but I've been in public education for approximately 25 years in a variety of capacities. Completed my BA a while back at UC Riverside with a psychology degree, then started my teaching credential and a master's in education at Argosy, and ultimately I ended up here at USC for the doctoral program. As a matter of fact, one of our panelists is Miss Natalie is in the program with me. So I've had the pleasure of meeting some amazing people, and I really want to share some of my experiences and what the program and the philosophy of the Rossier School of Education really aligns with people that are in the field of education, but also I believe being disruptors in public education and really just truly providing access and equity to marginalized communities. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. And now on to the questions. All right. So if one of you can answer the first question, and so it doesn't get repeated over and over, the rest can answer the second portion. So for the first question, what is the difference between a PhD and an EDD? Then if you feel that somebody hasn't included a piece, go ahead, feel free and add.
I can begin that one. Essentially, the difference between a PhD and an EDD, I personally chose the EDD program because it's practitioner-based, while a PhD would be more a research-based, academia and so forth. So I'll go into that second part, which what made me decide on the doctorate. The EDD, essentially for me, being a K-12 administrator and a K-12 educator, the EDD made a lot of sense because the program in and of itself provides a lot of the tools and knowledge needed to navigate the K-12 and I always put it in the frame of we work in the machine, so you have to understand the machine to really help improve it and fix certain issues with it. So the EDD was the best route for me.
Awesome.
I will kind of chime in here. So I also I applied to both. I applied to the PhD program and the EDD program at the same time. I think I was just trying to navigate both and had this big, huge question over my head, like, oh, which route do I want to take? And, ultimately I chose the EDD route just based on where I was in my career. I was 5 years out of my master's program and I just didn't feel like I was ready to place my professional life on hold. I felt like it was still really important for me to gain professional experience, especially in higher ed and student affairs. I think if it were other fields, if I knew that I wanted to do research or if I wanted to disseminate information and scholarship, totally PhD route. But specifically for the programs that I had applied to, it required me to go full time with the PhD. And so I knew I wanted to do it consecutively while working with the EDD. Granted, there are programs out there that are PhD programs that you can do while working. So if that's something that you're interested in, highly recommend looking into them. Some may require you to relocate, some are online, some are, meet once every quarter or whatever. But if that's for you, definitely look into it. But ultimately, I decided I didn't want to place my professional life on hold yet.
Awesome. Who wants to go next to answer the, what made you decide one doctorate over the other? Or
I can go ahead and answer the second one. So very much like Queena, I actually came from a student affairs background, and I definitely enjoyed my time in undergrad and in my master's, learning how to, be a better counselor or be able to advise students. But thankfully, I had the opportunity to be an instructor at a nearby institution where I used my student affairs role and experience, but I had a taste of what it was like to be a faculty member, and I liked it. So when I started looking at PhDs, it was a hard choice just because I was telling myself, okay, I hear so many things about research and about, all these myths and the whole, you don't sleep during research because you're constantly living, breathing, exercising research and such. So when I started exploring it, I was like, okay, research is not student affairs, but, let me actually start looking into it. And the people that I saw that were doing amazing work, they were also doing, faculty roles and also advising. So it was a combination of both. But very much like what Queena was saying, it is a sacrifice in a way where you have to put in a, full-time commitment into research because you're jumping into the body of literature and you're reading constantly, where you're trying to examine what are the issues that you want to explore in particular. So for me, for example, one of them is, why is it that not many Latina students tend to go to college, and why is it that they don't retain themselves there, or what can the institution do, and the institutional responsibilities. So anyways, after looking into all of that and really deciding wow, I want to become a professor in the long run, and doing a PhD would definitely help me out. But not only that, I get to jump into research, and I'm able to manage my own projects. And the schedule is very flexible and such. But yeah, like I mentioned, it is a sacrifice where you do have to put in full-time commitment. There are a few, just like Queena said, there are a few PhD programs where they let you work. It's not strongly advised because it is like a job in a way in itself. But I would say that I was also very attracted with my PhD program because they offered me a full ride. So I was okay with that, and especially after seeing the cost of attendance and such. But yes.
we can't say no to a full ride. And next up,
I can share. I had the similar experience as Edgar, but in the PASTA program, when it was 2 years, we had the opportunity to do a thesis option. For me, I was exposed to the research aspect of it, and that I liked it. So I was undecided at first. I was like EDD, PhD, because I wanted to work in multicultural centers. Ideally, that was my dream job. But then I was exposed to research, and I was like, okay, I love it. I like the part that I could work on projects independently, especially on topics that I really love. So I think what really pushed me was my chair, Charles, but also my hope, the whole experience of writing a thesis made me like, okay, I could do it. I like research. So yeah.
awesome. And Natalie?
Yay. So for me, I was really trying to jumble in my mind how to separate the two. I think that PhD route is a great opportunity because most, or if not all, are paid for. So if you want a paid opportunity and it's free, like that's such an awesome opportunity to take advantage of. But how it was sold to me was the PhD route is for the folks that want to create and cultivate. You're creating and cultivating academia, cultivating, shaping the minds of tomorrow. Or on the EDD route, it's the implement and influence. And so that was very attractive to me when I looked at the EDD, and that's how it was sold to me, was that do you want to help shape what is going to be done, or you want to be one of the people that are out there doing it? And so that's how the EDD was sold to me. And so I was like, I want to be one of those implement and influencers. And so much like how Queena had stated, and I think Jose mentioned as well too, already being in your career and having kind of that experience under your belt, I was like, I'm ready to give me these tools. I'm ready to go out there and do. So I cannot wait to graduate next year because I got a lot of stuff I can't wait to go out there and implement into education. So that's how I made that decision was, are you interested in creating and cultivating, shaping what those folks that are going to go out there, or be out the people that are out there implementing and influencing?
Thank you for that. And then on to the next question. Is when is the earliest or the latest time to start preparing to apply? I know some of us will get started way in advance, and others, maybe me, will wait until maybe 6 months. Is that possible?
I'm sorry, what was the first part, Lou? You said how early would folks get started?
Yes, what is the earliest that they should get started, and what's the latest that they could get started?
Well, I still battle with the procrastination monster, and it just kind of sits there on my shoulder. It's the worst, especially being this far, and it still sits there. So I'm definitely working on trying to shake it off, but you know, just kind of follows me everywhere I go, unfortunately. But you know, we get better every day. But I definitely was one of those folks that kind of thought about it beforehand, but really didn't get started working on it until probably like 3 or 4 months, until like application deadlines were due. And I applied to 4 different programs, and I got accepted to 3 out of 4. So your loss, Harvard, when I make it big, okay?
Yes, they're lost. I think we may have the same monster following each other.
But yeah, I think like myself, like I said, I started about 3 or 4 months before application deadlines were due. But I was lucky that I had such an awesome community behind me of great mentors and influencers that I already admired, who were willing to write letters of recommendation within that time frame. So if you feel like you got folks that are really, you know, on a drop of a dime type of thing, but that's kind of how my mentors were. They were like, Natalie, you deserve to be Dr. Hart. You let me know when you're planning to apply, and I got a letter of recommendation ready for you. So I was blessed to have a community of mentors behind me that were ready to support me in that aspect. And so, and I had, folks that were ready to edit and stuff like that. So I don't think my situation's unique, not by any means, but if you feel like you got that community behind you that's fanning your fire, waving your banner, you definitely can make stuff happen, probably in even less time than I did. But yeah, about 3 or 4 months before those application deadlines were due, that's probably when I started working on stuff.
Okay.
I can chime in. So, oh, sorry, Jesenia, do you want to go? I'll be quick. So I would recommend the earlier the better. I definitely procrastinated as well. But if you are thinking of PhD programs like I did, I was interviewing with faculty, or just like informational interviews with faculty that I was interested in working with, because they kind of have an idea of what their budget's going to be the next year. And so it's really good to be on their radar to kind of just be like, hey, I'm interested in working with you. You know, these are my research interests. And so I was probably reaching out to faculty, I don't know, at least a few months, like maybe 6 months ahead, just before the application kind of started opening up. And then I would give your recommenders at least maybe 2 to 3 months. I think I gave them maybe 4 months, because the deadline is around the holidays sometimes, and you just want to be mindful of that. And it's always better to kind of get it in. And just know that if you are applying, and this is, I think it's one of the questions later, but I had 2 or 3 faculty members who wrote my recommendation letters. And one of them was like, you're one of 21 people I'm writing recommendation letters for. So like, please draft the letter yourself first. You know, like you have those type of faculty members just because they are great faculty who know their students. And then you have faculty who are, you know, are willing to just at the drop of a dime, just always write it for you. But especially for PhD programs, students are always looking for faculty to write letters compared to like EDD programs. It was really easy for me to just ask my supervisor to be like, please write me a letter. And I was like one of the only ones he wrote a letter for. But the earlier the better, and you know, deadlines are rolling sometimes. The EDD program at USC was always rolling, but I definitely know other PhD programs, they have pretty hard deadlines.
Does anybody else have a, or Jesenia?
So I had like imposter syndrome throughout the whole process. I honestly started doing them a month and a half before the deadline. So I was in a rush trying to do everything. I took my GRE in that month.
Yeah, you beat me. You beat me, because I was like, dang, I waited to the last minute.
I was just not sure at all if I wanted to do it. But I think, again, back to what Natalie said, my mentors really pushed me. They're like, you could do it. You deserve this. You just try. If you don't get accepted, just do the next round. So for me, I did it in a month and a half. And with the thesis, it was the most stressful month. But I was able to do it. So I'm just saying, like, to everyone, like, you guys could do it whatever time frame. You just have to figure it out. But the community is what helped me a lot.
Thank you. Yes, and I know you're doing also helping me also with that email exchange a few months ago, answering some of my questions. And thank you for that.
I think I may actually beat you. Just to give context before I say my personal things, I do want to give a bit more context to what is starting to prepare to apply, right? Like, I think a lot of us think, oh, I have to start an application already, right? I think when people say you have to start preparing, as in start conceptualizing it in your mind, right? Like, you know, if you want to start thinking about PhD, then say it out loud. Something that my advisor told me back in my master's, closed mouths don't get fed. You know, so if you know, Natalie, I love the hype. So if you know you're really interested in a PhD program, you start as simple as talking to someone and telling them, hey, like, you know, I'm considering a PhD program, right? Speak into existence, because very much what was mentioned, right? Like, I also had imposter syndrome, right? When I applied to undergrad, when I applied to my master's, and then it was even worse for my PhD and all, because, you know, every level gets more difficult. You know, but something that I told myself is, you know, I'm gonna follow that rule or that mindset. Like, if I don't say it out loud, then, you know, no one's gonna hear me, and I'm not gonna hold myself accountable to try to apply. And then not even that, like, I didn't even know how to prepare. What is to prepare? You know, so I told myself, okay, you know what? In the summer before applying, I am gonna talk to my advisor and my potential letters of rec, because at the end of the day, if I don't have them, you know, I'm gonna get anxiety. I'm just not gonna, even if I rush to the last minute, will they be able to submit their letters, right? So I talked to my people, and I told them, hey, just to bring it out there, I may be applying. I just want to know, would you be willing to be one of my recommenders? And one of them took like 2 months to respond, so that's why it's also good to tell them ahead of time, just because they might delay. And then I've had a few people that were like, yeah, like, I'll definitely write, like, let me know. So I was like, all right, cool. Midway of fall semester, like, the anxiety and the imposter syndrome hit me severely, where I was like, no, you know, I'm too young to be applying to PhDs. I've actually been told by faculty, like, you're not going to get accepted. Not because of me as a person, but me as, like, you know, age-wise, experience-wise, all these like random things and random stuff that shouldn't be important, but for some people, they emphasize it a lot more. But anyway, so I ended up telling myself, I'm not going to apply. you know, because it hit me pretty bad. And I was in class one day in November, like the first week of November. And I was like, all right, you know, I didn't retake my GRE scores. And just to give context, my GRE scores were trash. But I also don't believe in standardized tests to predict your critical thinking and your long-term success. Bullshit exams and all. But anyways, I actually gave my advisors and everyone 3 weeks. And I told them, I'm like, hey, I know that I'm telling you like last minute, but I also kind of told you in September and all, but I just never like followed up. If you would be willing to write me a letter of rec, and I know it's 3 weeks like before the deadline, but you would be amazing and awesome for this. And, you know, they definitely, and the thing is, it's constant communication, right? Because that was something that I would tell them, like, you know, I would just tell them like, hey, just to keep it on your radar, I may be applying. But anyways, long story short, I submitted and, you know, I got a few offers and, you know, at the end of the day, you know, one thing I would tell you, prepare for the application, but don't prepare for the results, you know, because many of us tend to tell ourselves, oh, like, what if they don't get me? What if they don't accept me? That's not your job. Don't do that. Don't tell yourself whether or not you're going to get into a program or not. Let the reviewers actually do that. And even if you don't get into a program, because I didn't get into a couple as well, I didn't tell myself, oh, it's because I'm trash and all. My scores were trash for sure. I'll say that now, but I don't believe I was trash. It was more of a relationship. It just, we weren't going to fit well. You know, so I'm definitely happy to be here at USA. But anyways, yeah, long story short, the earliest that you can start preparing to apply, the moment you think about it. The moment it comes to your mind, just start thinking about it and start talking about it, start researching, look into, you know, careers that you may want to look into. Like for me, I've always wanted to be a professor, and I was like, okay, you know, like let me, you know, talk to people. And I think the social capital is a huge aspect of it as well. You have a lot of people, or I'm assuming you may have at least one PhD or EDD colleague that you may talk to. Just start talking to them, get their experiences.
I'm gonna quickly interject. If you don't have one, you have a whole panel right here. And please make sure to reach out and contact somebody. Do not pretend like you don't know when the information is right in front of you, y'all. We're right here. So I'm sure any one of us is happy to send our information out if it's not already sent out. But please reach out. And as Edgar already stated, closed mouth does not get fed. Sorry, I just had to say that, Edgar. They now know EDD and PhD students. So I know all these names now. I'm not ready to hear anybody say, oh, I didn't know. When you got some people right here, okay? We're just trying to give it to you real. I'm trying to give it to you real. No cookie cutter.
Yes. And
Natalie took the words out. Natalie closed it off amazingly.
Yes, and also age is but a number. Don't let anybody tell you that you're too old or think you're too old. I'm a non-traditional student, a little older, and here I am in my master's and considering a doctorate. And next up we have.
Not considering, Lou, you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Let's go.
Thank you. Mr. Montes.
Yeah, so just piggyback off what Edgar said, I think the conceptualizing the degree is absolutely important, because beyond the logistical part of doing the work and applying to the program, I think that the application of what you're learning through the program and how you're envisioning, like Natalie was saying, the difference you'll make with the degree. It's like you're increasing your social capital, and you're and I think we'll talk a little bit more about it in future questions here. But I think that being aligned with the mission of the school is also very important, because there's a certain mindset that you'll start to develop and frame. Another thing that you have to also prepare for is how the program is going to change you as an individual. In my case, I know for a fact it's changed me as a human being in the way that I approach problems in the world, approach problems in my workplace. So just that, I think, with preparing more along those lines, I think it's critical as well.
Thank you. And then on to the next question. I think Edgar mentioned a little bit about standardized tests. So which standardized tests are required, or is required, and is there a minimum score?
I think a bunch of us probably feel the same way about that question. But yeah, my GRE score is also trash, and here I am.
Yeah.
So if it's a requirement, it felt for me that it was a paid motion, if that makes sense. I was going through the motions to do a check mark. That, like, I felt like it was just required at that point in time. But like, I don't think it spoke anything to the type of student I am and what I'm trying to do for our education system and things that I've already done. The GRE does not tell anybody that. So I actually feel like more and more programs are moving away from these standardized tests. But if you're looking at your dream school and your dream school says that that's a requirement, that, like, unfortunately, that's another barrier to keep folks out. But I looked at all of those as, okay, I'm just going to go through the motion and do it. I did my best, but here I am. At the end of the day, I'm still going to be Dr. Hart. So for me, I felt for the programs that I applied to, I didn't think they cared, in my opinion.
Does anybody else want to add to that, or can we go to the next question?
I think the only thing I would add is that so many things have changed because of COVID. And so just look into it if this is the year that you're applying. But more and more, I think, especially in our field, like these tests, we do so much research on how crappy these standardized tests are and how inequitable they are. And so it doesn't determine your worth or how smart you are or how worthy you are for a program. It's about your, everything else. So.
Anybody else have anything to add? And next question. All right.
Yeah, real quick. I was just going to mention that some programs, what I've heard under the table, right, that some programs don't even care about your GRE scores, but they do require them. Sometimes it's for scholarship purposes. And yeah, so don't honestly, again, I think we can all, we are all under consensus that these scores are trash, or these exams are trash. And so don't let a particular score minimum or the fact that you require GRE derail you or discourage you. And then many programs are actually going away from the GRE scores or GRE exams in general, given this pandemic. But again, don't be discouraged by any of that.
Yeah, I heard that too. A lot of times they don't even, your advisors don't even look at it. It's just the admissions office so that they can submit your scores for your scholarships and your like tuition and stuff like that. So definitely. And then I see a question in the chat. I think most programs allow you to keep your scores up to 5 years. So yeah.
Now, letters of recommendation. Who do you ask to be a recommender? How many letters are needed? And how far in advance should one ask for a letter? We touched a little on it, but if we could elaborate.
I'll share my experience. I was already a working professional, so I think that those are pretty powerful. If you have anybody that's gone through the program before you, I think that would be a great person to ask, because they'll be able to speak on how you're a good fit for the program. And like Edgar said, you want to give them plenty of time, because you don't want to wait till the last minute. You want to give them ample time for them to speak about you and write about you. So that would be my recommendation.
Anybody else? All righty, we'll go to the next question.
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna jump in real quick. Sorry, but I definitely would recommend speaking to people who are going to brag about you. So the folks that you have been around and that can brag about you. So I thought about all the programs or organizations that I was a part of. What have I put a lot of time, effort, where they saw some change in? Like, I put a whole program for young men of color in the school district that I worked at. And so I was like, well, okay, let me go get a recommendation from you and you and you and you, right? So think about the folks that you've maybe touched their lives in some way. Those are the people, those are the ones that are really going to shine. Not just because, like, okay, right, let's say you knew President Barack Obama. Like, oh my God, I want to know you if you actually do, because I would love to meet him. But write a letter from him that just says, I met Natalie, Natalie's great, so-and-so. That's not going to do anything versus the person who's the director at the Boys and Girls Club, where I helped increase their attendance and graduation rates for the students that attended their program based on what I did, right, at the Boys and Girls Club. So that is going to shine, right, over a recommendation just because of someone's status.
Anybody else?
Most programs also outline like your especially I think for the EDD program, it said you have to have at least 2 direct supervisors, and then some PhD programs specifically said you have to have at least 2 PhD or faculty members with teaching credentials or whatever, right? Sometimes if you're really struggling to find those people, I think it's okay, and you just, again, going back to whoever can write you the strongest letter, it is what it is. And there are many other ways that they're gonna score your application, so I wouldn't stress about too much.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we'll go to.
Sorry, I was just going to quickly add. I feel like your personal statement, your letter, that is what is going to shine and really be an example of who you are. Like whether, like, right, I never saw, no, actually I did see a couple of letters of people, what they wrote, but my personal statement, I feel like that is what really just kind of blew my application out the water. When I talked about what I want to do in our education system, what I've already done and the impact that I'm going to make, right? Like that's what they want to see. Can we put, like, the same way you got admitted to undergrad and your master's program? What is this person going to do that's going to be a reflection of us one day, right? So at the end of the day, if I become the first Afro-Latina to be Secretary of Education one day, which is on my goal list, right? USC is going to be like, oh, she went and did her doctorate's degree at USC. Yeah, right? So think about that. What is it that you're going to do that's going to be impactful, that folks are going to be excited to put their name on you when you graduate? So you got to have that drive and passion and be able to let that shine on the paper. And that's what I did when I spent most of my time really just on that personal statement. And I was like, I need them to know that they will be at a loss if they do not admit me. Except for Harvard. Just Harvard, I'm going to come back one day where I'm going to be a speaker, but it's their loss, their loss.
Yes, now we look forward to that day. Next up, how to navigate financial resources. How do I pay for college or pay for school? And do I get a stipend, most importantly?
Well, you all know that the EDD is not not paid for. So in looking at that in finances, right, you really got to think about yourself and where you're at financially. But if you're there's ways to finesse the system, folks. So find ways to finesse the system. So for me, like, I became an RA so that I didn't have to pay rent in order to continue on with my program, right? So think about ways, how can I finesse the system in order to make things, make your transition as smooth as possible. So also looking at different affinity groups as well too. I'm a part of a historically Black sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. They give scholarships to students who are applying to different programs, and those are available to students who are not even a part of the organization. So I reached out to the community, y'all. As soon as I knew I was coming here to USC, and I was like, ooh, look how much USC is about to but look, here I am, But I just think about the bigger picture, right? This is another continued barrier, right? If I thought, okay, this is the program that I want to do and I want it, I'm making it happen. And so one day, right, when I'm in that big spot at the White House or just somewhere close to it, I'll find a way. This will get paid for, but I'm speaking into existence. I'm not going to have to pay out of my pocket. I'm just going to speak that into existence. But really, really think about yourself. But if there's a way, find ways to, yes, what Kenneth said, invest in yourself. This is an investment. Because for my community and for them to see someone who looks like me, and that's Dr. Hart, and she's out here changing the game, that's what we need, right? We need more folks who are going to be out there changing the game. So finesse the system, find ways. Think of the organizations you're already a part of, and are they willing to invest in you? Give them a reason to invest in you. So I'm grateful for organizations that I was part of, and they were willing to invest in me. But here at USC, we have, I'm blessed to be a Latino Alumni Association Scholar, as well as a Black Alumni Association Scholar. So think about organizations that you're a part of, that you identify with, and just go out and ask. Like Edgar said, and I live by that, a closed mouth does not get fed, y'all. So you got to speak up. People are not mind readers. You got to speak up. So I talk about my goals all the time, and you might talk about them in front of somebody who's really willing to listen to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, tap into all those resources wherever possible. Run me that money.
A tip that I got when I was applying and like once I got my financial aid stuff, my funding, was to negotiate, which is something for me that it's not normal for me to ask for money, but like I'm trying to break that. So I pretty much negotiated from the 3 schools I got into. So don't be afraid to, if you get accepted and one is offering way more than the other one, talk to the department chair. I'm pretty sure what they told me was like, they want you, they were gonna make the best funding option for you. If they don't do that, then that's not your choice that you wanna go to. Because you wanna find a school that is supportive, not only in your well-being, but also financially. So don't be afraid to negotiate.
I think as a first-gen student, it's very difficult not to think about the finances that are associated with the cost of education. Obviously, you all are here in the Rosales program for PASA and UC, but I think for me, USC offers 3/4 tuition on any degree program if you're a full-time staff member. There is now, I don't know, pretty much you have to be here 2 years before you can tap into that benefit. And then you can start getting tuition reimbursements or benefits after 2 years, and you have to commit another 2 years after you're done with the program. So just be mindful of that. It's 7 years if you're trying to do the USC EDD program and working here. But again, try to, you know, if your next step is to find an EDD or PhD program, see if your institution pays for it as an employee. I think that's, you know, I know a lot of people who are like, okay, my next career trajectory, I'm not going to work at an institution that does not have tuition benefits. So definitely look into HR benefits when applying for jobs.
So I'm taking advantage of that tuition assistance benefit right now. Luckily for me, I started before the policy change, so I only have to do the 2 years. But yes, I'm tapping into those resources. Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay. And so what was your support system? And did you have a mentor?
I would like that question to be changed. Do you have mentors, plural? Do not just have one person, y'all. There's not one person out here who knows everything. It's a mistake if you have just one mentor. Have many mentors. Have lots of people that are experts on lots of things, but there's no one person that knows it all. Please have multiple mentors. But yeah, I'm blessed to call a few people mentors, and mentors can be people younger than you, people older than you, and don't feel like you can't be a mentor to someone else. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, leaning on my mentors, plural, was super, super helpful.
And I think this is probably one of the most important questions. Your support system will be able to guide you when you're down, because there are ups and downs like any of the programs you've already been part of. But especially at this level, because now you're dealing with a smaller population that fewer people understand what you're going through. And Natalie said it best, mentors, right? And that means anybody. And actually, you know what? It's been my experience that being a mentor myself through the system has helped me kind of provide perspective, because you realize then at that point that your impact in my case, an educational leader is far reaching and greater than just the actual program itself. So you're essentially developing social capital for the people around you, and the people that really you become almost like a sort of a talent scout per se, because you see their potential, and you're recognizing it a lot better. So yes, the support system is critical.
Sorry, I'm just going to add, because yes, there's going to be some moments that you're going to want to quit. I probably want to quit like 4 or 5 times just in this last month. this program. So yes, you need a strong support system and you need folks to lean on. And I'm also grateful for people like Jose that are in my cohort, folks to lean on and just like be able to vent. Don't bottle stuff in. And I know I'm also a first gen student, if I didn't already say that before. And even though, right, I already have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, I will always carry that label with me. And I always identify with that community. And so, yeah, being a first gen student, I think I put that in the chat, but like being from a community where we're taught to just accept what is given to us and be grateful for it, right? And not to go out there and grab it, even when it's not offered to you. So, so yeah, I'm grateful for our folks. Find people who are already doing what you want to do. And the worst thing that you can hear is no. Please do not let 2 letters dictate the outcome of your future. So I see somebody, whether they're older or younger than me, hi, I would love for you to be my mentor. I love what it is that you're doing. And yeah, teach me what it is that you got going on. But yeah, have multiple mentors.
Definitely to echo what Natalie said earlier, right? You have a lot of people here in a panel, more than happy. Hopefully everyone's okay with this, with me saying this. More than happy to provide our support, right? I would say this, as a first generation student, I felt like I just did not want to ask for help, because I felt I got to the point where I am today because a lot of things that I managed on my own, or so I thought, right? But I'll definitely say that even applying for graduate school, whether it was a master's or a PhD, I had many, one of my support systems were my colleagues and my friends around me that, they would be cheering me on every time I made like one little step forward in my applications, right? And yeah, I think mentorship, or not I think, I know mentorship is a very crucial aspect towards your academic success, because that's something that I'm researching right now. But don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to get to, is that many people, including myself, fear asking for help because we feel, we believe we're going to get rejected. We believe that we're wasting someone's time, or we believe that we're a burden to other people. And maybe we're not accustomed to asking, right? But what Natalie said earlier, right? You have a lot of us right here on the panel. Definitely feel free to reach out. I have helped out many people personally on an annual basis. We're going like, even those people that hit me up like the last month, right? Like, hey, Edgar, I'm about to apply. Can you revise my essay real quick? Or can you give me some feedback? Or can you look over it, give me some some of your thoughts? Or even if you don't have anything right now, like just bouncing ideas, like, hey, like, I have a couple of ideas that I want to write down, like I'm just not sure. And all, again, don't be afraid to ask for help, but also ask help from the right people. There will be some people, because I've come across with them, where they'll be like, if you're doing this last minute, you shouldn't be applying, or I don't think you're ready. Push those people aside, swerve them if anything.
Those are haters. Block out the haters, y'all.
Exactly. Focus and stay around positive people, because when you're around a positive support system, that's a lot of the main thing you're going to be receiving, right? Like a lot of positive words of affirmation.
If folks are not there to stand beside you, then tell them to move to another lane, right? You're in a race right now, and that's how I feel. And I feel like a lot of my support system, my family, they see me, this is a marathon, and they're looking at me with the baton, and I'm running that last lap right now. And so they see me going, and I'm like, all I need is cheering in the bleachers right now. All I need is cheering. Okay, if you're not here to cheer for me, please leave the game. All right, I just need people cheering for me on the side right now, because I am in the next week, y'all. I am defending my dissertation proposal, so I just need folks cheering for me on the side. Okay.
Yes, we will definitely cheer for you. And then once you get to that point, passing on that baton to more to come. All right, let's see. And now for the fun part, questions from the audience. If you want to go ahead and drop any questions in the chat.
Can I answer one of the, Leslie just posted a question. How do you cultivate a mentor-mentee relationship? As a first generation student, personally, I don't feel qualified enough to connect with mentors. One of the things I did in my undergraduate time, I heard of this professor back at UCLA. who was a lawyer and a PhD. And I was really intrigued. So I legit, without taking any classes beforehand or emailing this person, I just happened to go in the building where his office was, and his door was open and he was just chilling in his chair in his office. So I go ahead and I knock and I just walk in, and it was a very organic relationship that was formed, right? Other ways that I did was I did email, I did email some other people who I asked, like, hey, like, will you happen to be able to squeeze me into your schedule in the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks? I definitely love to get to talk to you, get to know more about you. And then if you're taking class with some of the professors you're interested in, just go after class or during the break and just talk to the person. I know right now we're on Zoom, so you can also like, side a message to them, right? Like, hey, like, would you mind if I can talk to you after class? And develop a relationship like that. I guarantee you there's a lot of professors out there that have told me that I am always willing to talk to students. It's just, it's the whole hierarchy, right? Like, oh, I'm the student, that's the professor. I just don't, want to connect, like, honestly, just send a message. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. Like, a lot of people are actually excited when you get your emails. I know I get excited when I get emails. I'm like, hey, like, I talked to you about my experience, about my life and all. But anyways, yeah, go ahead and send an email. Talk to your faculty after class or anyone else that you're interested in. Let the mentorship relationship build organically, and it'll flourish much more than just like, I have to plan every single little thing of our conversation.
Sorry, I'm just going to add to, I got a lot to say, but these are all regular people. There's nobody better than you, just better prepared, y'all. That's the way that you got to look at it. Everybody puts on their pants one pant leg at a time, okay? Unless you're from somewhere else, I don't know. One pant leg at a time. So when you really humanize people like that, right? No matter if you are, celebrity or, regular people like us, right? It doesn't matter who they are, what they've accomplished. They are a regular human being. Okay. And I've not met one person that I've reached out to be a mentor or to talk that doesn't like talking about themselves. Okay. So like they will be flattered if you reach out to the person and ask them, like, I like what you're doing. I want to do that too. Right. People love that type of admiration. So you reach out, look, folks are going to be more than happy to respond. But yeah, you got to humanize folks. There's nobody here that's better than you. They just may have been better prepared. And that's what you're working towards, is to have that same type of preparation as well for the next generation. But that's how I look at folks. I don't care if you drive a Ferrari, just means I'm not there yet. That's all.
Yes, exactly. And is there anything that I forgot to ask? Because also I'm learning myself, or any advice that you want to give in preparation or during a doctorate program?
I can definitely speak on that. Stay organized. I am also a procrastinator and I have terrible time management skills. But one thing that I can say that helped me out a lot was I've created a Word document, and it has, I have like a formula, right, where I have tables from like name of the program to the application fee to the letters of recommendation, minimum number, what the personal statement is, what the personal statement of purpose, what the prompt is. Like, keep yourself organized. And I know some of the people who are here today, I've sent it to you before. Definitely reach out to me if you want me to send it to you. I also have like a kind of like a reminder where in each application, like how many, or what stage am I in, right? Like my personal statement still in drafting mode, or revision right around 1, meaning that I gave it to someone and they're giving me feedback and I'm just waiting on them to give me back the feedback, and then I can implement it and then send it to someone else or send it to the same person again after revising it and such. But yeah, stay organized, use a Word doc or use an Excel, and just list down everything from the requirements to the deadlines on a single piece of paper or single sheet or single document anyways, just to keep track of the deadlines and just to keep track of the things that you need to submit. Because keep in mind that some programs require both statement of purpose and personal statements. Some programs require one, which is a combination of both. So you want to differentiate what each program requires.
Thank you for that. Great advice. Does anybody else? Actually, we have a, a question here that let's see, how did you all start your search? I believe, what aspects were you looking for in the program, institution? I know I want to pursue a doctorate. I just am unsure where to start. And you can also unmute yourself if you have a question.
All right, what was the question, Lou?
It is, let's see. So I'm going to read what she wrote. Hi all, thank you for chatting with us and sharing this knowledge today. As a first generation student, I'm just curious, how did y'all start your search? What aspects were you looking for in the program? I know I want to pursue a doctorate. I just am unsure where to start. So
okay, I think I like began to answer that, but I would think about who do you want to connect with? So here I was like, ooh, Dr. Sean Harper, he is doing the work that I want to do. That's going to be my mentor. Soon as I got here to campus, whose office did I go to? Dr. Sean Harper. We went and we had lunch, and I was like, oh, I love this mentor-mentee relationship already, sir. He's amazing. I saw Dr. Charles H.F. Davis, who was here. I know he's recently left, but he was attraction as well too, because of the work that he's doing. My research that I'm doing for my dissertation is around African American male achievement, and obviously this will pour off over into other underrepresented communities or underserved communities. But I want to abolish the school to prison pipeline. And I'm arguing that programs like this will help to abolish the school to prison pipeline for our young Black and brown males. And so so that's what I did. I did a Google search of who's doing that type of work, and who did I find? But these folks who are right here at USC. So I was like, oh, I need to apply there. So look at what it is that you want to do. What kind of impact do you want to make in this world? What is it? Why do you want to go and get this doctorate's degree? Why are you here? Why do you want to do it? So I went and I saw the people who are doing the work, and it's like, that's the type of work I want to do. I want to do something that's impactful. It's going to leave a legacy for others to follow. And so I saw the folks that are doing that impactful research, and that's the places that I applied to, are the folks that are doing the impactful research. And that's the people, right? I wrote that earlier in the chat, but your net worth is as big as your net worth. So the more people that you have that can speak on your behalf and know what you're about, the more opportunities that you're going to have. So not only did I go and introduce myself to those folks, right? But now I have them in my corner, and they know exactly the type of work that I'm doing. And who do they think about when they have opportunities, right, that come across their table that are related to the work that I want to do or where I want to be involved. And so being involved with those kind of folks that can vouch for you, now you have opportunities to land yourself a job when you graduate. And unfortunately, right, you got to be thinking about that as soon as you become a student. Where am I trying to go next? You got to always be thinking about the next. And so that was my thought process when I got here to SC. Let me be with the people who are doing the work, right, that are those leaders, so that I can be amongst the leaders, right? Who you associate yourself with are who people are going to think of when they think of you.
Yes, Trojan Network is definitely a real thing. Tap into that Trojan Network. And see that, well, we reached our time. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions and comments, if you want to be put into contact with any of our panelists, you can go ahead and email me or at me on Twitter. And also make sure to follow the PASA Network on Instagram to follow for more events like this. And also we'd appreciate recommendations of what you'd like to see in the future as well. And we're going to be hanging out here for a bit. If you want to stay and ask more questions, please feel free to do so.
I have a question. So I know a lot of programs require an interview before you get admitted. If any of y'all did go through an interview process, what kind of questions were asked from y'all?
For me, for the EDD program, it was recorded. I did not talk to a real human being. And I was super looking forward to that too. I was like, they gotta meet me. But yeah, it was recorded. I had recorded questions about what I'm interested in doing, why I'm interested. It was very like personal questions. It didn't feel like super academic, like, do you know these critical researchers who are involved in these types of things? Like, I thought it was going to be hard questions like that. But it turned out to be questions really just getting to know who I am. So who are you and why do you want to do this work?
I have a quick question. First of all, thank you all for staying on and answering questions and your helpful insight. A lot of well, not a lot, some PhD programs are not accepting applications. And I know, although USC is, which is great, it just feels like there's a lot of uncertainty. First of all, one is, what should I consider in navigating future application cycles? For instance, are the programs going to be online, in person? There's a lot of uncertainty. So how do I factor that into the application process, especially if some schools, and I'll give one example, like for instance, Harvard's not accepting any doctoral programs. They're going to wait till December 2021, which I didn't even think that was possible. But here we are. So any advice on applying during COVID times?
I guess I have a suggestion. I noticed that some schools you can defer for a year. Like, let's say you apply, you get in, you could defer. That could be an option that you could take. It doesn't mean, like, I think they allow you to defer for 3 years. I know someone from my PASA cohort that did that, and I think she's deferring another year. But that's a possibility. You could still apply and attempt. And if you get in, and if you still want to open your options, you could apply the next round. But just know that there's an option to defer if you want to wait. That's just like me thinking right now.
I didn't know that there was an option to defer. Thank you.
Some schools offer it. I don't know, like, it depends the amount of years. I know Indiana University Bloomington, they allow 3 years to defer. So I don't know, it really, you have to check in with the institution.
Okay, that's useful information. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
I have a question specifically for Natalie and Jose. I am also looking at educational leadership at USC, but I was also looking at their global executive program, and that one is super expensive, which I know like isn't the #1 factor. But I was just curious if either of you two had looked at that program as well, or if it was just the leadership, and if you guys are, well, now you're online, but if previously your educational leadership was in person or online.
I could go in first, Natalie, real quick. Just for me, it was very streamlined because in K-12, it's educational leadership would be the route. About 80% of superintendents in California approximately are USC graduates. So, you know, and that's the route that I'm looking at. So I didn't look at any other programs. And our classes were in person, and they were great. Actually, those are the ones that I really, really enjoyed the most. This last quarter that we had was a little bit rough because of the, you know, not having that interaction. I think that Natalie can attest to this, having the courses in person, and what you not only gain from the professors, but from your colleagues, your fellow classmates, is equally important because you're developing a network. You're developing a network with people that will be your bosses or people that you will hire in the near future. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, we've been doing is, you know, things that if I need to hire, for example, an assistant principal, and I put out my net into my USC network first, you know, so it is a powerful thing. Like Lou said, the Trojan network is real. And so that, for me, it was very streamlined to one program.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I just agree with everything Jose just said. But yeah, I think in person is best. I hate being online. I hate it. But yeah, like I can't stress it enough, y'all. Your net worth is as big as your network. So if you can be on campus, it's feasible for you, please. Whenever outside is open again, whenever they let us back. But if you could be in person, please, please, please. choose to be in person. That's the only way that you're going to be able to rub shoulders with the greats, right? Be able to shake hands of folks that are doing the work that you want to do, right? And so, right, I'm grateful that I know Jose. I would have never met him, right, really, outside of seeing him in a little box on Zoom. So if you can be in person, do that in any space, in any capacity, whatever it is that you're involved in. If there's a way to be there in person, right? Those personal connections, right? People don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel. So, right. And I hope I feel like I got a big personality and a big presence. So when I meet folks, they don't forget who I am. And so like, I love in person anything. So if you have the opportunity, right, to be in person, choose that.
Thank you.
Allison, I'll just add, I looked into both the Global Executive, the OCL program, which is online, as well as the EDD program that's on ground. And the people and the professionals that are in those programs are very different. So just know that why, I think this is the biggest takeaway, know why you're getting a doctorate. Like, what is the point of getting your doctorate? Don't just do it to do it. Because when you get to that dissertation phase and you don't know why you're even doing it, that's gonna be really difficult. But even at the very beginning, know why you're doing it, because you need to make sure that you're in the right program. Are you looking to make organizational change? Because there's a program for you, organizational change and leadership. You know, are you looking to become a superintendent or a principal and you need that degree? EDD, EDL is for you, right? And so just make sure you know what you're doing. And then I think the global executive is there are people in that program who have no education background whatsoever, and the advisors will tell you that. So they have a lot of informational sessions, so make sure you look into it before you do it.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, so to be mindful of our panelists' time, if any of them have to leave or if they want to continue hanging out, answer more questions, you're free to leave if you'd like.
Thank you for the opportunity, Lou. I really appreciate the time to speak. I put my my email in the chat. If anybody's interested in more information on the EDL program as it relates to K-12, I'm more than happy to answer any questions through email. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge with us.
Same, thank you. I have to jump off for dinner, but it was really great meeting everyone. Y'all are awesome. Reach out.
Thank you. Thank you for so many pearls.
Thank you for having me, y'all. And please feel free to reach out to any of us.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Y'all, please take a mentor from this. Grab a mentor. Have a great night. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I answered Jesse's question. Just want to make sure he knows. But yeah, thank you for having me. I'm open to talk to anyone who's currently in the PASA program who wants to explore the option of a doctoral program. I know Jesse asked about the 1 year. How do you ask people, faculty, to for the letters of rec? And I wrote that just be open. They are more than welcome to write the letter of rec. Don't be scared. Just ask. Yeah.
Yes, that 1 year is definitely tough to navigate through or to build those relationships. So another thing that I would recommend is, or what I've been doing, is joining organizations and staying active in the organizations. Do we have any other questions, or does that conclude our program for today? All righty, thank you everybody. Fight on.